there's one thing that I want everybody to get out of today's video, and it's absolutely a goal, is that I want you to realize those that we see out there that are rich, that are powerful, that are famous, that got a million things going on in their life and a ton of money. Don't think that that matters. Does not matter one bit. We can all fall victim to our human emotions, our vulnerabilities. And with that being known, anything is possible for anybody at any time. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, music lovers, especially my rock music lovers. So the band Lostprophets, these guys formed in 1997 in Wales. Now, founding members Ian Watkins, Lee Gaze, those are the two guys that got together and originally started the band. These guys quickly made a name for themselves in the South Wales music scene, and in November of 2000, the Lostprophets dropped their debut album, The Fake Sound of Progress. This album, The Fake Sound of Progress for the Lostprophets, was actually recorded in the span of 2 weeks, and the fan base loved it. I mean, the guys were starting to make a name for themselves. They already had in their area, their hometown, Wales. I mean, the UK loved these guys, and matter of fact, this album was only certified in their homeland of the UK. It was certified gold. They actually did a remastered version in 2001, and a lot of their existing fan base said that they had sold out at that point because the way that the sound had kind of changed during the remix and everything. And to be honest, I think the album was pretty damn good. This is one of those albums that I backtracked to later, because what I'm about to talk about next is how I and a lot of people in the United States actually got into the Lostprophets. So in 2004, the Lostprophets dropped their second album, Start Something. Now this album would be the album that would help the guys actually branch out a lot further from the UK and have some success in other countries. Not just minimal success, pretty damn good success if you ask me. When this reached and started playing on radio airwaves across the United States, their first single, Burn Burn, was a decent song, and I remember hearing it on my local rock station in Houston, Texas. Now, I'm not gonna say I was a huge fan, but their second single hit, and I'll tell you right now, I absolutely love this song just as well as everybody in my high school and probably everybody in the country at the time. I'm talking about the song Last Train Home. An amazing song, great lyrics, great vocals by Ian. I mean, I give the guy credit, I give the band credit. The song was amazing, and it stands the test of time, because I listened to it the other day and it took me back. It was more of a nostalgia thing, but Last Train Home was an amazing song, and this album did great. These guys toured with some of the biggest bands. They toured with the Deftones, Good Charlotte, and many others. But this song and this album was probably their peak, at least in the United States, because the guys are forever loved in their homeland of the United Kingdom. But this was actually certified gold in the United States, and again, in the UK, it was certified platinum. So, no doubt, this was their guys' biggest success. The Lostprophets would end up dropping the album Liberation Transmission in 2006. They would follow it up in 2010 with the album Betrayed. And then in 2012, they would drop their last album to date, Weapons. This album didn't get certified at all. The previous two, the Betrayed and Liberation Transmission, were both certified only in their homeland of the UK once again. And after Start Something, I mean, that was their peak, and it slowly went down from there. But 2012 was their last album, reason being, well, we're going to get into it right now. It was around 2008 that the South Wales police were starting to get reports of child misconduct toward Ian Watkins of the Lostprophets. And then even back as far as 2006, when they were out touring for the album Liberation Transmission, a lot of the crew and band members recall seeing Watkins backstage after shows or even before with clearly underage girls. Now, the Rockstar life is one thing, you know, I mean, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? You know, I think that they're in any line of, you know, the underbelly of society, whether it's, you know, gangs or, you know, drug addicts or homeless, whatever it is, the ones that people seem to turn a blind eye to. Even there, even in prison, sometimes there's moral boundaries, even in a place you think there wouldn't be. But seeing your lead singer, the man that's front and center for the band, with underage children, it's a red flag. Not only was he being obviously seen with underage children, I mean, that's one thing in its own right there. That's enough said right there. That's absolutely awful. This guy's drug use was getting completely out of control. I mean, again, back to the sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing. I mean, they go hand in hand. But when the sex party should be with somebody at least 18 or older, I can't get my head around that. I mean, but there's a lot of people out there that got issues like that, and it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. But when you mix drugs in with already bad thoughts or a bad mentality, it makes things a lot worse. Now, Stuart Richardson and the bassist for the Lostprophets recalled in 2019 an incident where Watkins wasn't showing up for rehearsals and he was starting to continually miss shows. There was a show he missed, and when Richardson saw him on the tour bus after he missed the show, he completely went over the whole scenario where he literally went in there and beat the shit out of him. You know, he said he was punching in the face for, he didn't know if it was 10 seconds or 10 minutes, but he beat the hell out of him, smashed a full Monster can into his face, and just beat the shit out of him. And that's telling you a couple things. One, a guy that's passionate about what they're doing and knows that this guy's completely not giving a shit and screwing it up. And two, you see this guy that literally don't give a shit about nothing, himself, the people around him, or the law. So in 2009, when the Lostprophets were in the studio recording their fourth studio album, The Portrayed, his ex-girlfriend, and when I say his, I mean Ian Watkins' ex-girlfriend, was not taking this underage stuff that was being tossed out there lightly. As a matter of fact, she had got wind of an incident that he had sexually abused a 2-year-old girl in the state of California. And she actually reached out to the child's parents to find out what was going on, and kind of found out a little more than probably most of us know. But it was made clear that they reported this to the Welsh authorities. And just like the incident the year before that started to get their way to law enforcement in 2008, once the reports were made, there was no further action taken. In June of 2012, Ian Watkins was arrested for a variety of different drug charges, but it wasn't long after he was arrested that he made bail and he was out. Now, after this, he was starting to reach that point where people were, realizing he might be a danger to society, and he had some sick and twisted shit going on in his head. Now, there's a lot of people out there like that, but when you clearly got one in front of you, you got to do something about it. What that something is, I don't know, but you just cannot let people like that be roaming free. And a lot of his friends knew, and they reported it to the Welsh authorities, that he was smuggling, when he was coming back from Los Angeles, to Wales, large amounts of cocaine and methamphetamine. So they followed up on this lead, and in November of 2012, he was arrested again. But this time when he was arrested, in his possession, he had an obscene image of a child. It was on November 14th of 2012 that Ian Watkins played his last show as frontman for the Lostprophets. A few weeks later in December, he was arrested again on another drug possession charge. This time, the police immediately went to his house. They raided it. They went through his computers. They went through everything. They found numerous indecent photos of children on his computer. They even found enough information to charge him with conspiracy to have sexual activity with a 1-year-old girl. Tons of animal pornography and just even more indecent photos of children. It was horrible. He remained in custody. They even arrested 2 females as, well, co-conspirators, co-accused, either way, pretty much accomplices. They arrested these 2 females. He would remain in jail, and this time, he wasn't going to be so lucky. So everything was starting to get set up for him to get to a point to where he was going to have a sentencing hearing. They were going through his computers. They were going through all kinds of stuff. I mean, they were finding all the horrible things I mentioned earlier. Not only that, one of his victims was a 1-year-old baby. A 1-year-old baby. And some of the text messages they found, he was sending them to the mother saying, "If you belong to me, so does your baby." I mean, this guy is definitely one of the worst sex offenders that I've ever heard of. I mean, and there's tons of them out there, and there's probably some that have yet to be caught yet. But this guy, I mean, famous Rockstar, had it all, and he's still couldn't get away from these sick thoughts in his mind. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And eventually in 2013, when they got to the sentencing, he ended up getting 29 years in prison, which it would be 2031 before he would have a chance to even have or go up for parole. And hopefully they don't let his ass out. I mean, this guy is sick. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And even 2 of the women that were arrested with him, they received a 14 and 17 year sentence. They were actually mothers of some of the children that were involved, his victims. That leads to tell me, and I couldn't find really a lot of this, I looked through so much stuff and I couldn't find why, but that tells me that they must have allowed him to do acts to their children if they were arrested, because if he was doing it without them knowing, obviously they're a victim as well. Clearly they were letting this stuff happen, and that makes it even worse on their part. 14 and 17 years to me ain't even long enough for them. To let somebody hurt your child, you're just as twisted as he is. It's absolutely horrible. But yeah, 29 years in prison. I mean, that doesn't even seem like long enough to me. This guy, he should be locked up and they should throw away the key. It kind of reminds me of something. And I was talking to my wife the other day because I was talking about Lincoln Park and Chester Bennington, and she was kind of sitting there wound up like, why the hell would this guy kill himself? He's rich, he's famous, he's got this, and that. And I try to tell my wife, I'm one that's money isn't everything. That's a philosophy of mine. I don't think money is everything. It cannot get you the things that can make you happy in life. It can get you things to make you happy, but it can't really, really make you happy inside. But for a moment, you can get all kinds of shit to make you happy with money. But I'm on that side of the fence that I don't think you need it to be happy. My wife, she's a hard worker. Where she came from, they didn't have a lot of money. She grew up poor, so, in a different country. So I can understand her mindset is, you work hard to get this money to have the things you want in life. It's just a different mindset. But I told her, the guy committed suicide because he wasn't happy. All the money in the world wasn't going to make him happy. And with Ian Watkins, obviously he's got problems. Clearly he's got problems. Whether he became a famous rock star or he ended up working at a damn pub in Wales, he was still going to be that guy with those thoughts. And there was no amount of money that was going to change that. So, like I said before, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. We are who we are. And no matter what type of success or heights we reach, we can always change some traits about ourselves, change some things or the ways we do stuff. But in the end, we are who we are. Ian Watkins is who he is, and he's a very sick individual. And I wish, it took him 7 years to sentence that guy. Had police actually stepped up and investigated and took the initiative sooner, maybe he could have been stopped sooner. But again, hindsight's 20/20, and again, reports are reports. Until you have some type of evidence, even if it's something as sick as that, I'm going to go ahead and assume that there was only so much they could do, and they did what they could, and there was nothing more. I'm going to assume. But anyway, yeah, this guy right here, man, very sick person, and he had a lot going for him. Could have been something special in their career, the Lostprophets. I feel bad for the other guys because they had to have this guy pretty much kill their careers as well. But hopefully they've moved on and they're still successful. But this guy, he's where he belongs, should be there longer. But anyway, doesn't matter. There's only so much you can do, right? You can only do what the courts say, and that's all you can do. Obviously, you can take matters into your own hands and do some type of crazy shit, but, is it really worth it? I do know one thing. The guy had his ass kicked in prison and stabbed a few times, and he was able to survive that. So, being locked up in prison as a pedophile, it's not good for you. So, unless you're isolated by yourself, you got a good chance of not making it out alive. We don't know if he will or not, but again, he has a chance in 2031 to go for parole, but hopefully he don't get it. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Go out there, take care of your family, take care of your friends, enjoy life, go for something great. Until next time, take care of yourself. I'm out.